If you've used the Turkic database, you'll notice that there are some glaring omissions. One of these is kinship terms. So you'll notice that there are no entries for brother, sister, aunt, uncle, grandparent, grandchild, cousin, etc. And this is because there's a special problem in the Turkic languages. Many of them distinguish kinship categories that go far beyond what we express in English, so there's no one-to-one correlation. So in Turkish, for example, the relative age of siblings matters. So an older sister is called abla, while a younger sister is called kız kardeş. An uncle is called amca if he's your father's brother, a dayı if he's your mother's brother, and an enişte if he's married to one of your aunts. Turkish expresses in a single word what English requires two or more words to express. For the purposes of making a dictionary, this is a bit of a nightmare. So not all of the sources I've consulted are explicit in terms of whether an uncle is maternal or paternal, if he's younger or older than your mother, or if he's married into the family or not. So this means that any entry I might create for the English word uncle would be flawed and not great for comparison across the Turkic language family. And this goes for siblings, grandparents, grandchildren, etc. In linguistics, studying this sort of thing is called lexical typology, and it's fascinating to study because it falls at the intersection of linguistics, anthropology, and cognitive psychology. If you've ever learned another language, you quickly realize that not every word in one language has an exact translation in another. There are lots of memes and videos about how a given word in a language can't be translated directly into English, and while this is fun, it's not exactly groundbreaking news. It happens in every language. But once we begin to examine how and why this is the case, we can really make some progress. So, lexical typology explores how languages, and by extension cultures, categorize the world by using words. So let's look at kinship terms again. Anthropologists have examined how languages describe family members and have come up with 6 basic kinship systems: Hawaiian, Sudanese, Inuit, Iroquois Crow, and Omaha. English uses the Inuit system, and Turkish uses the Sudanese system. What makes these systems different is how they treat members of given generations. In Hawaiian, everyone of your parents' generation is called mother or father. There is no specific word for aunt or uncle. All languages do have the capacity to specify these kinds of relationships, but in the Hawaiian system, they require more than one word. These systems also differ in how they treat family members of the same gender. Aunts or uncles may be called different things based on whether they share the same gender as the parent that they're related to. So your mother's sister may be called mother in one system and aunt in another one. This 6-system classification omits other factors, things like relative age, relationship by marriage, whether someone is a full or a half sibling, and even how the people being described are related to the people being spoken to. So lexical typology goes beyond just language. It's often closely related to the ways in which a culture organizes itself. Another fun concept that lexical typology is concerned with is color terminology. In the 1960s, Brent and Paul Kay determined that languages develop color terms along a fairly set path. At the most basic level, a language may simply have basic color terms that distinguish black and white, or more accurately, dark and light. After that, a language will develop terms for red, then for yellow and green, then for blue, for brown, and finally for purple, pink, orange, gray, or sometimes other terms. The Turkic languages appear to have no native terms for purple, orange, or pink. These look like they're later additions to their vocabularies. And just like kinship terms, Berlin and Kay's color terminology system is simplified and doesn't reflect all possible color terms or ways in which color terms could be applied differently given specific contexts. So Russian famously uses siny for basic blue, but uses голубой for light blue. And Hungarian is sometimes claimed to have 2 words for red, piros and vörös, but this is disputed. The Turkic languages seem to have a specific set of color terms that are most frequently used to describe the natural world, so words like Allah, which is sometimes translated as red, multicolored, or piebald. So again, we've got a good generalization, but not the whole story when it comes to color terms. One other phenomenon that is studied in lexical typology is colexification. This is something that's really impactful when you're creating a multilingual dictionary. Colexification is when a language uses a single word for 2 distinct but related concepts. In English, for example, we distinguish things that are new based on whether or not they are alive. We would call a desk or a road new, but we would call a woman or a horse young. Once these things have gained in years, we don't make that distinction, and we just use the word old. So English has colexified the age of living and non-living things under the term old. In other languages, including in many Turkic languages, hand and arm and foot and leg are frequently colexified. If we look through the list of terms for hand in the database, we see that forms that resemble L refer to hands and hands alone, while terms that resemble Kol refer to the hand and the arm collectively. If you're interested in learning more about Colexifications, the CLICS⁴ database is a fantastic multilingual collection of Colexifications from over 3,400 languages. I've included a link in the description. Lexical typology allows us to describe why it's not always easy to translate from one language to another, and captures the connection between linguistics, anthropology, and cognitive psychology. It also explains why creating a multilingual dictionary can be so complicated. If you've got any suggestions for how to accurately include kinship terminology or any other missing items in my Turkic database, let me know in the comments.